Yay.
Hello, wow, sisters and brothers. It's just a blessing to be alive. This morning was so brisk. Just wanted to get up and go outside and run back in. I want to thank all of you for praying while Selma's family was here and as we went through the celebration of life that they had for her 2 weeks ago, yesterday. I'm going to give some reflections of Selma Johnson Walker. She was a Christian, a wife, a mother, an educator, a teacher, and a friend. As I reflect on my friend, when I finish, I want you to really know who Selma Walker is, or was. Selma's hands were busy all of the time. She used those to carefully guide children, her 5 children, to success, and to begin to lead the way for her grandchildren. She lovingly would show you pictures of her grandchildren every time she had gone for a visit or they had mailed them, and would call them her sweet things. She was a wonderful cook. She used her hands to bake or cook or whatever it was that needed to be done in the kitchen. She baked her famous rolls. They were so good they would melt in your mouth. The cakes, the pound cakes, the Italian cream cakes, the cookies, she would bring them to WOW sometimes. They were indescribably delicious. When she was president of the Westland Service Guild for our church, when her turn was to serve as hostess, we looked forward to those delicious refreshments. Holidays. Everyone was special on holidays. She would happily tell you that Don is coming, her oldest son, and I'm going to prepare this for him. Carolyn is coming, and I'm going to prepare that for her. Cheryl and Daryl are coming, and I'm going to prepare that for them. And Stanley. She prepared every child's favorite when they were coming home. Even though they were adults and they had children, then she began to prepare for the grandchildren. She cooked a lot of food. She enjoyed it, and it was so delicious. Lately, the last couple of years, you never knew where she would be during vacation or holidays. Her children would send her a ticket and an itinerary. You are to be here on this day and there on that day. And she would call her friends, I need you to take me to the airport at this time on this day and pick me up that day. Selma was very punctual. She was rarely late. If she said 6 o'clock and you're not there at 6 or it doesn't begin at 6, she could hold up her arm and says, it's time. She was that way. She would say when the children were young, she was boss. But now they are older, they're the boss. So the itinerary was adhered to. Selma was a conscientious educator. She would carefully guide her children from day 1 to the end of the year. She was a wonderful reading teacher. The children would come in, not all of them, a few, just a few. At the beginning of the year, they would not know A from B or go from stop, wouldn't recognize their last names in large letters, but she would carefully mold them and teach them. She believed in teaching the whole child, not just part of it. She wanted to give them the background of experiences, to let them know that this is why you need to know that. I watched her teach several times, but some lessons just stood out to me because I knew the end results would be coming. For instance, once she was teaching a phonics lesson, and the word was stop. And she told the child, this word is stop because it begins with a consonant blend, one syllable, which means it's a short O, look at the breve over the O, and the P at the end. The consonant blend says, the vowel, short vowel says and the P is voiceless. So the word is stop. She taught that whole child in that manner because at the end of the year, you always had standardized tests. And she knew that. And one of the questions would usually be, darken the circle in front of the word with a consonant blend. Well, because she had taught that child from day one all of these rules and why it is, they knew which circle to darken. She taught her students how to read the pronunciation key at the bottom of every page in a good dictionary. When that child would come up and say, what is this word? Sometimes teachers and some parents will say, look it up, or just tell them for them to move on. But she would say, get the dictionary, look it up, look at your key, and the child knew the rules and could apply it and knew how to pronounce the word and the meaning, and therefore the reading passage had context. She was a wonderful teacher. Children don't care how much you know, but they know how much you care. She loved her job. She was a remarkable teacher. She loved children. She organized a project called Reading Around the World. It was a culminating activity. She would contact the parents of her students. Most of them were military. Her children, of course, her friends and family. Let them know what countries had been selected. Then they would find out word origin, dress, cultural, activities, highlights, and bring all of those things to the forefront. The children would demonstrate that they had learned about those countries by acting as the tour guides, the registrars, leading in certain activities or leading the songs. It was a wonderful experience at Gordon-Flo Elementary School. We looked forward to that every year. In the evenings and on weekends, Selma is still using her hands. They were always busy. She loved to needlepoint. When she completed a project, she would have it matted and framed and then presented to you. But the best part, she would take it to Williams Gallery in downtown Gulfport to have all of that done. So you see, it was something with her hands that became expensive over a period of time. One of my favorite pieces that I want to share is this one that says, every true friend is a glimpse of God.
Wow. That's awesome.
And she has SW 85. She did this for me in 1985. But they would hold up, they would still look good, and lots of people have one or more of her pieces. After retirement, Selma became a WOW sister.
Amen.
WOW means Women of Wisdom. Every month, she would come to me talking about how good it was, how meaningful, that the speaker said this, or the speaker said that, or we talked about certain things. And our leader, Robin, she's fantastic. She did this, she did that. And Pastor Deborah brought this devotion, and she did that, and others. She just go on and on and on. Finally, I retired. And I went to WOW one time. And I was hooked.
Amen.
I've been coming since that time. And when I would miss, Selma said, "Oh, Willie, you missed it, girl." And she would tell me what had happened, who was there, and the whole thing. Selma sent greeting cards on a monthly basis. If you were sick, you got a card, or sometimes a check, a phone call, or sometimes she'd bake something and bring it or send it to you. She cared about people. Years ago, the greeting cards, there were only like 5 or 6 categories, you know, sick and weddings and a few more. Well, she would buy the closest thing to what you needed and handwrite a note inside to personalize the card and tell you just what you needed to hear. Well, now they make cards that says everything. So she bought cards that said everything. Her daughter, Carolyn, her oldest daughter, would send her emails with these special sayings on them, or something appropriate. But Selma would have those copied and send those to her friends too. Because anything she had that she thought was worthwhile, good, interesting, or helpful, she would pass it on.
Amen.
Selma visited the Holy Land twice. Each time she was eager to leave.